Cool, and got timer. We have 30 minutes.
Great.
Hello, I think we named the show this week.
Yes.
Which is good because we filmed like a couple episodes already. But we're calling it The Orbit. And basically, people who are in my orbit, I reach out and want to interview them about their professional lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one person that's very close in my orbit is Cheyenne.
Hello.
Yeah, and I met Cheyenne through a mutual friend,
Mm-hmm.
and we've known each other for a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, tell me about yourself. What do you do?
Okay.
A lot of people may know this.
Yes. So I'm a freelance illustrator / actor here in Seattle. I have an online shop where I sell prints and stickers of my illustrations, and I also sometimes do commissioned work, and then I do various like commercial and industrial work around the city, and then I also do a lot of theater in the city.
Nice. I wanna focus on like the art, the illustration
Yes.
side of the thing. When did that start? Like,
I think I've always been the type of person who draws in the margins of my notebooks, and I've always just kind of constantly had some form of a sketchbook or a journal, but it was very much like a hobby and something that I did in my free time. I just sort of like doodled and sketched and drew very random things. And then after I graduated from college with my degree in theater, I started leaning a little bit more into my art and my illustration. And at first I thought that I wanted to do graphic design. And then I realized later that I wanted to do illustration. And I think it was, I'm not sure when sort of like the catalyst moment was, but there was a time, I would say probably in early 2017, shortly before I moved to Seattle, I think, where I had the idea that I wanted to spend more time focusing on illustration, and I wanted to get better at it, and I wanted to expand my skill set.
what's the main difference between graphic design and illustration?
Illustration, by definition, is narrative storytelling. Graphic design is stuff. So graphic design is when it comes to branding design and logo design and that type of work. Graphic design also deals with like a lot of the stuff you see, like billboards, posters.
Yeah, so like technical branding.
Technical branding stuff.
Illustrations, like
illustration is primarily storytelling. So like you would hire a designer. You would hire like someone to illustrate a book, and then you would hire someone else to design the book.
Got it.
Of course, that's also a different thing from graphic design in and of itself, but it's like, I think it's like a subset. So graphic design basically means you're dealing a lot more with like vectors. You're dealing a lot more in like Adobe Illustrator. You're just kind of working in different programs, and it's a different skill set. But good graphic designers are vital.
Right.
But I just I thought at first, because I was so interested in graphic design, but then I realized that because I designed a couple logos for friends, and I realized that I did not enjoy the process very much. So I was like, oh well, I like the drawing and creation part of this, but I don't like the technical aspects of it. So that's when I sort of shifted gears to illustration.
When did you start making money doing illustration?
Probably when I opened my online shop.
And that was a couple of years ago.
That was in the fall of 2017.
Okay.
So in the fall of 2017, I opened up my online store because I had been... Okay, so a lot of my success is due to my garnering a following on social media.
Right.
And that started at the end of 2016, after I posted my 2016 bullet journal flip through. I got a huge influx of subscribers on YouTube. And then in the spring of 2017, I shifted from having, because I had a studygram on Tumblr, and so not quite the spring of 2017, I would say maybe like fall of 2017, I kind of shifted from having my studygram on Tumblr to having a studygram on Instagram. And then over time, that studygram, which is where I would primarily post pictures of my bullet journal and like organizational things, I started posting more of my art. And then I opened up my shop at the end of 2017, and it was called Gentle and Ruthless Design Studio. because Gentle and Ruthless was the name of my study blog.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of people say that they would love like the doodles and things that I drew as stickers. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. And so I opened up that shop. And then realizing that as I realized how I wanted my illustration career to grow, I realized that I didn't want it to have a separate brand name. I just wanted it to be my name. And so January of 2018, I changed all my platforms so that they're all just Cheyenne Barton now.
Nice.
So it's all me.
So the main thing that you've told me before is that there was very little risk opening your business.
Yes.
Because that 2016 bullet journal video, like previously you had not had a following.
No.
And then
I had a fairly substantial following on Tumblr, but the thing about having a following on Tumblr, I realized is that it's pretty localized. And so
what was your Tumblr following like?
50,000.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah. So I had 50. So when I left Tumblr, because I don't go on Tumblr anymore, I had just over 50,000 followers on my study blog.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like how did that happen? Because there seems to be a trajectory.
It's because that started happening like mid 2015 when I started sharing photos of my bullet journal on my study blur, as it was called, studyrose.tumblr.com.
2015.
Yeah, because that was when I started using my bullet journal.
Right.
And so that I started garnering a following from that. I was also posting my notes because I was still in school at the time, so I was posting notes and just school study things. And people really liked my handwriting. People really liked the way that I laid things out. People liked the photos that I uploaded. The main thing though was my bullet journal and like my workspace. Like, cause I remember I posted a photo when I first moved to Seattle and I had my like initial workspace set up. I posted a photo of it and it got like almost 50,000 notes, I think. It's still getting reblogged.
So it seems like you were consistently delivering good content to Tumblr.
Yes, but I wasn't doing it in a way where I was like
thinking about it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking in terms of consistency. I was just like, I would make a bullet journal spread and then I would just take a photo and upload it. So it wasn't like I was like, I have to create content for this platform. It was more just like, this is what I'm doing anyway.
Right.
So
that's really cool because not a lot of people get that.
Yeah, I don't know. People just like this stuff, I think.
You once told me that you made the bullet journal video because you saw that no one else had done it well.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Because the reason why I made the bullet journal video is because my Tumblr following had said that they wanted to see a bullet journal tour.
Okay.
And so I made it with the intention of it being seen by maybe 1,000 people.
Okay.
Because I thought that it would be seen by a small handful of my Tumblr followers. People who had been after it. I did not realize that I was uploading it at the end of the year, which is the prime time when people in the Bujo community, which was way more vibrant than I had anticipated, search for bullet journal flip through videos.
And yours is the first to come up.
Mine was one of the first that comes up, and my bullet journal also, just from a distance, is very unique looking. And so it doesn't look like a lot of other bullet journals, and so I think that's why people clicked, and that's why so many people watch that video. That video has almost 1 million views now. And because I watched that thing grow to like 100,000 views in like 2 days, which every time I refreshed the page, it was more. And I was like,
how much do you think of what you did, like the balance of skill and luck? Like, what do you think is the percentage of those parts?
I think that because, I don't know percentage-wise, I would say that it might be like 60-40 in terms of 60 being skill and 40 being luck. Because I think that my skill culminated in this product that I made, which the product being my bullet journal, but I happened to post it at exactly the right time. So I think that was luck, because that at the time, like, in terms of posting schedules and like the best time to post. Like I was not thinking about content in that way.
Right, you
at
were just
all.
it was something that you were going to post anyway, and it happened to be the moment where everyone needed it.
Yes, exactly. So, but I think that had I not sort of cultivated my journaling style to be the way that it was, I don't think that video would have gotten so
Right,
many views.
and you got good because you liked doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and you valued it.
Mm-hmm.
So what the trajectory, just to like clarify it in my
Yes.
mind, is you were on Tumblr socially.
I was on Tumblr socially, and I started a study blog because I saw that I did not know that was a subset of Tumblr, and I was like, these are all people that like
organic.
notes and things.
This was still fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you made the video,
Mm-hmm.
and that took you to the video in 2016
Mm-hmm.
took you to like, oh, maybe this is business.
Yes,
Got it.
exactly.
Did you get paid for that video? Did you
I didn't put ads on it
Okay.
until I was probably already almost 200, 300,000 views in, because again, I thought it wasn't going to be seen by a lot of people, and I didn't want to make people watch an ad for the video because I was just like, oh, well, I like don't want to do that to my followers because I know how annoying ads are.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I had monetized it from the beginning, but
Yeah.
it's the nature of the thing.
So
I have no idea how much money I made off that video.
So opening up your shop,
Mm-hmm.
what was the initial vision? When you started it, what did you think it was going to be?
Just a sticker shop.
Okay.
I thought that it was going to be just a sticker shop where I was making all my stickers myself using my silhouette portrait craft machine. And I would just kind of, I never wanted to be one of the sticker shops that has just like oodles and oodles of designs, but I wanted to have like a fairly decent, maybe like 15, 16 different designs. And I just wanted to be constantly like updating them. And then I knew that I also was hoping to maybe sell prints as my art got better,
Mhm.
but initially I was just focused on stickers.
Got it. So you opened it and you're like, I'm going to sell
Excuse me.
rotating amount of stickers.
Yes.
And so now we're in January of 2019. This is much later.
Yes.
What is it now, primarily?
Stickers are still, stickers are still like sort of a core thing.
Mhm.
I've gotten to a point now where I outsource them, so I don't make them myself, and that has made my life so much easier. I cannot begin to express. But now I want to expand into more different types of product design, like more stationery, and so I want to create more prints. I want to have more prints available in my shop than I do stickers, because I just want to sell more of my artwork, like more of my completed pieces. But in order for me to sell more prints, I have to make more like completed artworks. I want to do that. I want to start doing more commissions. I want to design notebooks, enamel pins, charms,
Yeah, there's
pop sockets.
big operation. You
Yeah.
want to have like a whole slew of like branded stuff, it seems. That's under
Yeah.
your
Cheyenne-
artistic style.
Cheyenne Barton Collective.
Yeah.
Yes.
What would you say is the hardest, the biggest challenge, and since opening your shop to now, of running this business?
Time management. Because I'm a very anxious person, just because like my anxiety often gets the better of me, it leads me to procrastinating because I just get really worried about things being perfect and disappointing people. And then also I sort of get very lackadaisical in that I will be like, oh, I'm not creatively driven today, so I'm just going to spend the day playing Stardew Valley. And then of course there's a voice in my head where it's like, hey, if you're not working, you're not producing content, and therefore you're not making money, and therefore you're also letting your consumers down. And so it's the fact that before, like on Tumblr, and even on YouTube, you're just kind of posting content to post content, but owning a shop, there are people that have given you money and they're expecting something in return. And so there's a constant fear of...
Yeah, a pressure.
And just making people like irrevocably upset with me, or they have a very bad experience with my business. That will therefore damage my reputation and therefore hinder my ability to get work.
Which hasn't happened.
No.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna.
Which is good, because you have to have that, like, you know what you're afraid of, and you've been able to deliver, but it is a lot of pressure that almost results in an inability to produce work.
Yes.
What I want to bring to the table is that I talk to a lot of small business owners like yourself who are the sole single run business operations. Almost across the board, this is the main problem. Is it's always self motivation, which is wild to me because I want it to be a systemic problem. I want it to be it's just I can't get heads or tails of doing cheap shipping,
Right.
Which may be a thing,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Also, consistent sales is a big issue.
yeah, and that's the nature of the shop. One of the more common, because y'all are just starting out as business owners and doing it alone, the pressure is enormous.
Yeah.
And what would be the most helpful thing to sort of get your head around getting motivated, because if it's just a personal block that's preventing you from doing work?
I don't know, which I think is maybe the most frustrating. I feel like I've tried a lot of things to sort of circumvent my own sort of mental blocks and circumvent my own sort of personal obstacles that I set for myself. Planners, organization, all the blog posts I could ever possibly
consuming as
read.
many life hack things as possible.
Exactly. And I don't really know.
This issue that we're talking about is what we talk about in Sustainable Loops.
Yes, it is.
So this ties in so well.
Yes.
So basically, Cheyenne would talk to me about all these problems, and they're problems that I don't really have a lot.
No, which is incredible to me.
It's just the way things shook out. I developed just really intense discipline. It's sometimes scary.
Yes.
I will tell Cheyenne, I am business Connor right now. I am not fun. And Cheyenne was really impressed by that and would ask me questions like, hey, how do you do this, this, and this? And we realized Cheyenne's followers also had these questions. We were like, hey, what do you guys have trouble getting together? And they respond. We got hundreds of responses. And so we took all the questions that people asked and answered them in this book.
Yes.
So how was looking at the content of this book when I initially wrote it? What did you find anything helpful personally?
I think the biggest thing for me, just because a feeling that I often fall subject to, is the feeling of overwhelm. And so I think that just because there are so many things that I want to make and so many things that I want to do with my shop and things that I'm thinking about constantly, before we got here, I was thinking about new packaging and shipping options. And the idea of the smallest possible step is a huge thing, because the thing is that a bunch of small steps accumulate in a big
breaking down a large insurmountable task into the smallest possible actionable step.
Yes, I would say that was huge.
Overwhelm's big, especially because you have to wear so many hats as a small business owner.
Yeah, I'm really bad about taking off certain hats and putting on other ones. I usually just put them all on top of each other. So
that issue is because you're probably working on one thing, and then you realize that another thing you were in control of is affecting this thing. So you have to. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's rough.
How is illustrating this?
Really fun. Really terrifying, because this is sort of by far the kind of most professional finished thing that I've ever been a part of. And so I was very scared that I wasn't going to, and also I have also never sort of done worksheet type things, and so I was worried that the formatting was going to be weird, they weren't going to be usable, it wasn't going to be helpful, they weren't going to fit well into the book. I was also worried about just because I've never done something like this, I was worried that I was going to get the resolution on the files wrong. So I was going to upload them and they were going to look fine, but I was going to miss something. So when they were printed, it was going to be super low res and terrible. And I was also worried about like consistency across all the different things, and making sure that it felt cohesive and not.
And it definitely ended up that way.
Great.
Because you were thinking about all these things.
Yes. So that's good.
What
I'm ultimately very happy with what we made.
with like on paper, like even though it may not feel like it,
Yes.
you are undeniably successful at what you do.
Yes.
I can see you like struggling with this concept, but like you run a business and bring in income and it pays your bills.
Yes.
So what would be like your advice to people who want to do that? Because it is like you're doing it and it's super hard and it may not be for everyone, but there are a lot of people who want to have that freedom and do something that they are in control of.
Should I say this to you or should I say this to the camera?
You can say to me.
Okay. You will be working.
And also them, but like I want to see what's going on. I want to chime in.
Yeah. You will be working all the time.
Okay.
That's kind of my main thing. You will be constantly thinking about your business and you will constantly be thinking about things you need to do, and it is nigh impossible to take a day off, just because it is constantly in your brain.
See, that's wild to me because, for example, Martin and Sailor, when they were running their business, they took one day off a month.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And similarly, my boss, who like founded a small business, like he's there from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep. He says he watches movies, but I'm like, you don't watch.
That sounds good.
Yeah. But when you have to do this thing, it's all the time.
It's all the time. And so that's why it's really hard. Like, I don't really get to like come home from work.
Yeah.
So like even at the end of my theoretical workday, which I have tried to set in stone, which never works.
It's impossible.
It never works. And so like so know that you will be working all the time. Know that it is, it might look really cool to be like, have your own independent schedule and do like all these different things, but it is, very challenging and very difficult, and it's also very expensive. So be prepared. My advice would be to keep your day job as long as possible, IMO, because this is something that Liz Gilbert talks about in Big Magic, but when you burden your creativity with the responsibility of bringing in an income, suddenly your creativity is so much more reluctant to come to the door. And so you should provide yourself and your creativity with as much security as possible by having like a steady income, and then when you're finally ready, you think to take that leap and make that move with your creativity together, then I think that that's a good time. For me, it was kind of like I don't think I was quite ready because I absolutely burnt out within the first 2 months of my business.
Yeah.
But
I now have a full scope of why I was like, oh, she's so sad.
No, you know why?
You didn't stop.
Yeah, I didn't stop. I was staying up. First week, I stayed up till 4 a.m. every single night, packing orders. And also, I didn't have a control of my inventory because I didn't know how it worked yet. So there's going to be a lot of learning. You're going to be learning constantly along the way. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But ultimately, if it is something that you love and it is something that you are passionate about, it's absolutely worth it. And it's worth all the hard work because at the end of the day, I do have the flexibility to take the acting jobs that I want to take because I don't have to worry about asking off work. I have the freedom to go on a weekend trip.
And work from anywhere.
Which is truly
a huge benefit.
Which is a huge benefit. But it is... My brain is just constantly on my job, and also you don't really have anyone lording over you except yourself, and so
which is also super hard. Being your own boss is not is a very difficult skill to acquire.
Yeah, and I'm frankly still really bad at it, and so I'm trying to.
I think most people are.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get better at it, and I'm trying to cultivate those skills, and it's just very difficult, but ultimately. Very worth it because opening my business allows me to live both of my dreams of being an illustrator and an actor and just kind of a creator in all the ways that I want to be one. It allows me to fulfill that. And so it's challenging and it's hard and stressful, but it's ultimately very worth it.
As an artist, illustrated artist, we have 5 minutes. You probably are consuming a lot of content.
Yes.
Who are your favorites as far as people who are kind of in your niche or people that inspire you to do good work?
Fran Nerd is one of my biggest ones. She's sort of the reason why I wanted to develop my illustration skill further, is because looking at her earlier bodies of work, I was like, this is similar to what I've done. This is similar to like the kind of trajectory I want to be on. And she's been freelancing for almost a decade now. So she's a huge inspiration to me. Also, the way that she approaches her work and her life is very similar to me, I feel. So she's amazing. An artist that I love, she's a children's book illustrator. Her name is Rebecca Green. I think that her work is just beautiful in its storytelling and also just like in its sort of whimsical, magical nature. I have a friend online who goes by Ghost Puff on Instagram, and her work elicits a similar feeling in me. And I also appreciate her work ethic and how she approaches her work and how she just sort of, she does the thing even when she doesn't feel like it. She still gets it done. Yeah, but she doesn't. It doesn't feel like violent or pressured in any way. She just sort of makes things. Of course, I don't know her day-to-day struggles and stuff, but it seems that she has a very kind of like healthy flow and like a good process, which is very admirable to me.
Do you talk to these people at all?
I talked to Ghost Puff, or her name is Mona. I talked to her. She and I are like friends. Rebecca cool. And Fran I just follow online.
Right, but you could totally be friends.
I don't.
Because my whole thing is that all these people are kind of have blinders on because they're working on their business, and I would hope that more and more of these single-run business creatives work together, have like units, maybe like Discord groups or something, because your problems are incredibly specific, and not alone in them makes them so much more manageable.
Yes.
Because as I interview people, they're like, I don't know who to talk to about this. And I was like, well, I talk to everyone, people who have the same thing going on. So I'm glad you were able to talk to me about this, and it clarifies timeline, goals, and also why I think you're just the best. So thanks for joining us. I think that concludes our interview for today. And thanks for collaborating on this book, which you can get
on Amazon.